Hello, Galaxy. I have been playing with 4 different phones over the past few days. The Pixel 7 Pro, the Pixel 6 Pro, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, if only to do photo comparisons. So you're going to see, at least for this time, photo comparisons between the Pixel 7 Pro and the Apple iPhone 14 Pro Max, all with the latest software updates, if only to give you a better idea of what you might be getting into. And I'm doing this and recording it live on Twitch and having questions being asked, including the recent one. Would you say the iPhone is worth the extra cost over the Pixel if we're just talking camera? And my assessment is absolutely not. And that is based upon experience, not just in general with the software. And that's not to say that the iPhone photo output is horrendous, at least in my eyes. But the Pixel is a fantastic, and the 7, specifically the 7 Pro, is a fantastic camera. I can't say that the Pixel 7 Pro beat the 6 Pro in every instance, but I'll be doing that shootout in another video. First, we're going to start with my play shop here. We've got the iPhone shot and the Pixel shot, and between the two, I mean, you can see the difference pretty much right away. The iPhone is definitely more contrasty. I feel both of them handle colors very well. Perhaps a little more accurate with the iPhone compared to the Pixel camera, but not by much. The iPhone, of course, is heavy on the exposure and the sharpness, almost to the point of over sharpening, especially when you start looking at like the Stormtroopers. And that's in sharp contrast to the Pixel, which has a bit more texture, in texture in terms of colors. Like, I feel like each one of these Stormtroopers has a slightly different tone of white to it, and none of these seem to be over sharpened or over processed. At least, again, at this distance here with the 1x camera lens. The only thing that I would say, with this particular indoor shot, indoor lighting, not night mode or anything like that, between the two, yeah, the Pixel definitely looks a little more balanced compared to the iPhone, but both of them are relatively usable shots. But look at those troopers in the middle. You have a bit more color or tone to the white on the Pixel, the whites on the Pixel versus the whites in the iPhone. Again, this is typical for the iPhone cameras for the past couple of generations, which has been frustrating to me. We're going to move to the next image, and this is an even more dramatic image. Now, you're looking at this shot thinking, it's not that great. I mean, it's fine. It's ample. This is the white Boba Fett prototype there in the foreground, focal point being the Darth Vader Bop It that I just got. I mean, they were back here hanging out anyway, so I just took the picture. It's fine. This is an okay shot. I wasn't necessarily in love with it, but it was fine. Then I looked at the iPhone shot, and I'm like, wow. Not only did it like make all the whites warm, and I have like, if I have like a tone in this room, it is definitely not in warm light. I tend to run a bit more natural, which the iPhone may pick up as more warm. But I feel like between the Pixel shot and the iPhone shot, I would easily go with the Pixel. This is me. It's all subjective. You may say, oh, no, the iPhone's better. I don't care. You can like what you want to like. You can say something's better. That's fine. That's you. If you were to ask me, if you were to say, Chris, you have to decide right now which of these two shots would you take, I would take the Pixel. Again, in this shot, as I would with the other shot, personally. Because you can always adjust other things. So I'm going to zoom in. This is a problem that I've had with the iPhone. And the Dark Troopers, these are going to be, slightly out of focus because the focal point was was Darth Vader, which is slightly more in the foreground. But the whites are just blown out. Not only I just feel like it did not do an accurate job, but the whites got blown out, which is maddening to me because you'll never get them back. Versus a slightly more balanced Pixel shot, cleaner, more easily adjusted in post. Neither one of them necessarily blew me away in terms of a shot. I mean, it's just a shot, toy photography. But, for the most part, I feel this is just an area where the Pixel has shined with at least indoor photography, and especially when we're talking about objects. The iPhone just doesn't like objects as much, seemingly, as the Pixel device did. Now, this shot between the two, the iPhone here and the Pixel, I wouldn't say it's a wash. I actually prefer the warmer tones of the Jabba playset here on the iPhone compared to the Pixel. But either one of them is fine. But again, for this particular shot, given Jabba's got warm tones, I definitely prefer warm over cool. But there are both these. Honestly, okay, just for argument's sake, if I go 100%, you'd be hard pressed. You can see all the dust on Jabba to tell the difference between, unless you're really pixel peeping, and even when you do, to tell the difference between the iPhone shot and pixel peeping on the Pixel shot. Like, they're like almost exactly the same. Like, it's a good, they're good images either way, which is happy, you know, for me to say. The next two shots between the iPhone and the Pixel, not much of a difference, honestly, not much. If anything, I would say the iPhone once again has problems over sharpening, slightly over sharpening. I'm going to zoom in here at 100%, and you can see some of the details here. It's just like the 9 num, just a hair, a skosh, not bad. This is not a bad shot on the iPhone, but compared to the Pixel just, I'm not going to say is softer, but it's less harsh. The sharpening is just, it's on point. And if I had, you know, if I were to make a sweeping statement about what are your takeaways between the Pixel camera and the iPhone camera, or the output at least, with all the processing and everything, I would say it comes down to sharpness. And the iPhone tends to over sharpen, and the Pixel tends to have a perfect sharpness, at least to my eyes. Outdoor shots at the max zoom button. So, like, you know, you know, each camera's got a different max zoom. So I didn't want to get into, because you can't easily compare a 5x to a 5x or a 4x to 4x or a 3x to 3. Like, I just went with like the highest zoom that you could get, optical zoom, outdoors, and both were ample. You know, I mean, you could always get closer. You could always like zoom super far in. This is the Pixel shot. The iPhone shot, you know, you got to, you know, obviously wider. Pixels, you know, cropped in again. I mean, not cropped in, but it is zoomed in, so it doesn't have as wide a view, because you were able to zoom in a little further here on the Pixel. But, you know, ample for this particular shot. Just depends on what kind of photography you want to take. Now, the big thing about the Pixel, and this is very difficult to compare, Pixel's got the super res zoom, and I don't want to compare super res zoom to what Apple does, because honestly, it isn't fair. You're talking digital zoom anyway, but the two are, you know, in completely different classes. We've got an outdoor shot again, fall leaves, between the Pixel shot, and you're probably eyeballing this anyway, so, oh, that's the Pixel and that's the iPhone, because the iPhone, a bit more vibrant. I'm not saying that the Pixel image is flatter, but it is not as punchy as the iPhone shot. I mean, you know, it's kind of depressing, not because of fall, I love fall, but the fall leaves haven't started to spring yet. They haven't changed. The leaves have not changed yet, so I haven't had a chance to take a lot of good shots. The thing that bothers me, though, about a lot of the processing, even outdoors, is that it gets to be an over-sharpened mess to me on the iPhone. As much as I like the punchier color, if I zoom in again on the Pixel, there's sharpness, but it's defined. It just feels well-defined and not over-defined. I'm not looking at a muddy, over-sharpened mess on the Pixel, despite color possibly being a bit more vibrant, or definitely, at least in my eyes, being a lot more vibrant on the iPhone. I love toy photography, love it, and this is an area where I was not really impressed with either one of them. This is the macro mode on both of the cameras, and both of them I feel failed. I mean, they did well, they took the picture, but like, they both are flat. There's no depth of field at all. Nothing whatsoever. You know, and both of them blew out the Skeletor, where the sun was reflecting off the Skeletor skull. But again, what I was, you can be impressed with the sharpness of the detail, but the lack of depth, I feel, is where these two images are a wash to me. You're going to notice other, you know, other differences between the two as well, largely color and contrast. And that comes down to a personal preference. But between the two, I was disappointed in their macro shots because of an extreme lack of depth. If anything, if you were to ask me, well, which do you prefer? I like the fact that the shadows seem to be deeper behind Skeletor in the pixel shot versus the iPhone, which is definitely, you know, made the shadows less shadowy. You know, it makes Skeletor pop a bit more in the pixel shot. Sticking outdoors, one of my new favorite paths between the Pixel and the iPhone. There's the pixel shot. Green, lush green, greenery, so green. And an almost seemingly cooler image from the iPhone. There's a warmer Pixel. I know, I can't believe I'm saying that. Warmer Pixel, cooler iPhone. And look at the path, like right where it leads off and the sun is hitting the path. On the iPhone, it's a bit bright, but the Pixel seemed to bring out the warmer dirt tones there, as well as the tree trunk just beyond it, not too blown out. So let's go ahead and zoom in just to show. So we're talking about this particular area, right, where the path goes off. That's the Pixel. These are outdoor shots, everything here unedited versus the iPhone, just blown out, just completely blown out. At least seemingly, you know. The other differences, you know, I wouldn't say that dramatic apart from the tones and the details that were kept. And I felt that the Pixel once again nailed it. Nailed it. Going back inside, because I love my indoor shots. This is a wide-angle camera, wide angle on both the iPhone and the Pixel. And I feel both of them did a good job. Now, I know this is probably not what you would use in a wide angle, but I was just curious to know how the sharpening went as I zoomed into these Atari text labels, my collection. Good, decent, I mean, workable shot. These, to me, these are the kinds of shots that I would take in the field. Like if I was sitting in front of, you know, someone's Atari text label collection, I would want to take a picture of it. And so I figured, oh, I'll just use the wide angle lens. So between the two, the Pixel and the iPhone, I feel the iPhone, once again, just a hair sharper than it needs to be versus a perfect sharpness on the Pixel. Indoor, selfie, not wide angle, because otherwise my face looks weird. This is the iPhone. This is the Pixel. I feel both of them did a fantastic job with HDR, with the screen behind me. Fantastic job. My face is definitely a bit more contrasty on the Pixel shot versus the iPhone shot. Yeah, again, different lenses, so my face is going to look wider in one and squished in the other. I swear, I did not move. But I feel both of them did a fantastic job. Both of them. So if we zoom in to take a look at sharpness, I feel the iPhone had a perfect shot. You can see all my stubble and whatnot. You see my eyebrows, well defined. That's the iPhone. The Pixel, however, was a bit softer. It was a bit muddier. So that was kind of disappointing on the selfie for me. Just a bit, not by a hair, just a bit muddier between the two. As much as I feel I appreciated the look of my head, my face shape on the Pixel more, my head looks more like it's been squished on the iPhone. But it was sharper. So again, it's kind of a wash here. It all comes down to your preference. Indoor selfie, low light. We've got the Pixel and we've got the iPhone. Both did a fair job. I only have like light coming, you know, from the side. So I feel like in terms of color and neutrality and skin tone, I feel the Pixel did a better job with my skin tone than a slightly yellow version of me in the iPhone, from the iPhone. There's the Pixel and the iPhone. If we go in a little closer, this is something that I've had a problem with the iPhone camera, the selfie camera, especially in low light. It gets really, the details get really muddy real quick if you don't have enough light on the selfie camera, which is very disappointing, given how many people take selfies in the dark, you know, or in low light. I felt that it was just a hair sharper or hair better, so to speak, with the Pixel in this case. The detail, I felt I had more details in my face come out, as well as a truer to life me in this shot. Like once you lose details, you just can't get them back. Indoor shots, again, between the iPhone and the Pixel, not too much of a difference here. And oddly enough, I feel the iPhone wasn't as contrasty as the in this particular shot between these two shots as the Pixel was. The iPhone definitely ran warmer. We're gonna go into at 100%. There's a wolf and a stormtrooper. I don't feel like any of the details or the white on this particular stormtrooper was blown out. It's a good thing to look for me. Going back to the iPhone, which again seemed like everything was overprocessed. Too sharp. This is just way too sharp. Whites, though, came out, which I was very happy to see from the iPhone. But I just don't... it's just too sharp. I know, I keep saying it, but y'all want to know, and here are the examples of, to me, indoor, low light, you know, from the Pixel, perfect sharpness. Perfect. Like, I would not have tweaked the thing versus the iPhone. Coming back to the Play Shop here, low light, night sight, or whatever they call it. Well, they call it night sight on the Pixel here versus the iPhone. So I feel that, you know, giving them both max exposure, because you can tweak max exposure when you're doing the night mode on either one of them. And I feel like the Pixel pulled in just a bit more light. I feel like it was a bit dimmer on the iPhone. And if we zoom in here, kind of look around, not perfect, detail, a little muddy. Now this is at 100%. If I zoom in a little closer, we're going to pixel peep here. This is at 313% right now on the iPhone. Just muddy to me, low light on the iPhone. Let's go back to the Pixel. And the night sight, honestly, the Pixel night sight has always impressed me. So this is at 100%, the detail here, and we're going to go to, I'm going to try to get to close to 313%, 214, 313%. So it's not as noisy. It's not as, it's muddy because you're zoomed 313%, but at least it feels like it's better. These details seem like they're better defined. So not only was the Pixel image brighter, but I feel it was less grainy and less noisy in this extreme scenario. This might be a scenario that you'd find yourself in. You know, you go to a party and someone's got Star Wars figures set up and you want a picture. You can see all, look at all the, you can definitely see the noise. Now, granted, I'm a little closer than I was before. I'm trying to do as direct a comparison as I possibly can between all these. So just showing you the examples between the two. But the Pixel shines with these scenarios, the low light scenarios. I've got an AT-AT. 3D printed that the other day and did a rub and buff. This is the Pixel shot. These are both, by the way, portrait mode. The Pixel shot and the iPhone shot. Both are portrait. And I know that they don't build the portrait mode on these phones specifically for non-human objects, but, you know, a lot of people love the portrait mode. I still think it's a gimmick. Neither one of them necessarily impressed me all that much. The Pixel was definitely sharper. I'm not even sure if the portrait mode even fired. Fire! In between the two, I guess I really don't have a favorite. If I had to choose, I'd probably choose the iPhone in this instance, because there's a slightly better depth, a feeling of depth with the AT-AT. I had it slightly angled. You see a bit of noise behind the AT-AT here. This is the on the iPhone. But honestly, the graininess doesn't bother me too much on certain photos. And this is the Pixel in portrait. So to me, it got a little over-processed behind the AT-AT here on the Pixel. And maybe, in zooming in, maybe a little more sharp than I would have wanted it to be. But that's something I discovered with the Pixel. The Pixel, when taking portrait photos, tends to over-sharpen. I don't know why, but it's true. And I've got another example coming up. Portrait mode, really? Do people? Yes, people still use portrait mode. I did one a Jedi walking home from school, walking through the woods. This is the iPhone, and this is the Pixel. I feel the Pixel did a fantastic job with the portrait, but I feel the iPhone may have edged it out a bit in terms of how it handled the details. So if I zoom in. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? Like, this is just, the Pixel did not do a very good job with what should have been a very clear contrast between her hair and the background. Just did not do a very good job at all. And I do believe, it also caught this area, handled it well, but I don't know if it handled it well between her bracelet but it is portrait mode. Portrait mode also starts like, it seems to crop. Portrait mode seems to crop in no matter what you do at 1x. There's the iPhone shot. The iPhone shot was a bit, a little more washed out. But I feel I liked it a little more. In between these two shots, I felt it did a better job around her hair. And if you're going to do portrait mode, those are the kind of details you want to look for. Though that said, I feel that the Pixel did a better job with, and these are both 1x. The Pixel did a better job with Jedi's skin tone, by far. Jedi looks washed out here. That's a perfect skin tone. And that's the thing. Google says, oh, you know, we've nailed our skin tones. And they did. They have. By and large, they have. Like, for real. If that's been an issue with you and photos and your family or your friends, I feel the Pixel did a good job. But as I mentioned, it over-sharpened Jedi's face there. I wasn't happy with it. And over-processed her hair down, you know, coming down off her forehead. Now, that's, again, in stark contrast with how the iPhone handled things. Maybe it didn't get a perfect color, but I feel it handled her hair better, and I feel that it did not over-sharpen. Or comparatively. See, that's the thing. Like, it may be over-sharpened, but, like, comparatively, not as much. And that's really what we're playing with here. We're comparing these two images. Oh, I guess these two may be out of order, but this is a zoom in between the this is a 3x on the iPhone and again on the Pixel. So I feel like they're both good shots. Very good. The iPhone tended to be a bit warmer. Not much else there. Night sight or night mode iPhone, night mode Pixel. Definitely brought in a lot more light from the iPhone than the Pixel. Both at max exposure or max time. Pretty sharp details on the Pixel. It got stars. You can see stars in both of the shots, oddly enough. But I feel like the iPhone was a bit blurry with the details by comparison. And you can always brighten in post. I mean, you can see the differences, right? Night and day, or night and night. Felt there's this weird flare though on the Pixel image. This line, this weird line that was going there, and I didn't see it on the iPhone. So I don't know if that was flare from a nearby streetlight. Admiral Akbar's skull on a pumpkin on the Pixel versus the iPhone. So the iPhone is just bathed in orange, and granted the light itself is a bug light, so it is casting yellow. And I feel the Pixel tried to do a better job at trying to separate the colors, but the colors were definitely more accurate there on the iPhone. This is a night mode, looking at the details here of the 3D printed object, bathed in an orange light. I feel the Pixel tried to overcorrect and did not do a very good job with the color, but it did a way better job with the sharpness. So the color could always be adjusted in post. Sharpness, not so much. Just FYI. The moving object indoors, just the regular shooter, right? The 1X. I wanted to see how each one of them handled it. This is the iPhone. This is the Pixel. Moving object. This is a Grogu that dances and sings and everything. So that's why it's dark. But I wanted to see how well it handled like the motion blur as it was moving around. This is very difficult to capture both at the same time. But you can see in the low light the areas. This is the fuzz, if you will. It's a bit blurry. On the iPhone, there's no way I know you're getting the ball there. Yeah, the ball was blurry on both because that was getting the most amount of movement. If I go in here, not as bad, not truly sharp, but a little sharper. And this again could have been down to the shot. But the ball, despite moving about the same speed, I felt was captured better with the Pixel. Plus, you could always bring it into the Pixel 7 Pro Google Photos app and de-blur. So that's another bonus for any kind of blurry shots you get. Indoors, low light, Pixel, iPhone. Pixel, iPhone. I don't know why I took this shot. That's where I'm hanging out. A little warmer on the iPhone versus a cooler room on the Pixel. We zoom in here a bit. Both of them handle the HDR fairly well from across the room. There's the Pixel. Moving over there, seeing the same stormtroopers in the stormtrooper helmet. And then again, the warmer. I don't know. It's to me, this photo on the iPhone is just it's too crunchy. The details are just too. They're almost too detailed, for the lack of a better way of describing it. Are you going to be taking a lot of these types of shots? Maybe not, but you never know. Like, that's the thing about photos, is not every shot is a prime shot. Jedi indoors, this is a portrait between the iPhone indoors, low light, portrait, iPhone, Pixel. Feel both of them did a better job, but again, the Pixel over-sharpened Jedi's face, and I felt did a pretty decent job on the iPhone with her hair, although the iPhone did miss this particular area between her iPad and her face. Pixel may have done the same as well. Portrait mode is still very much in the land of gimmick to me, but y'all love it. I'm just saying, Pixel does not seemingly carry all the details over with portrait mode. iPhone, I felt, did a better job. The regular night shot mode between the iPhone and the Pixel. Pixel's definitely brighter, but warmer. Pixel did an ample job, more than ample job. Jedi was moving, too. She was a moving subject. This comes down to a matter of preference. But if I zoom in at 100, Jedi's pretty sharp. She was moving. And the tiles back there, behind her, again, sharp. Versus the Pixel. Jedi's moving. Not over-sharpened. In either way. So the iPhone, I felt, could have done a better job low light. That's it. That's really everything I wanted to cover with the camera comparisons between these two cameras. Both are great. If you were to ask me which one I would carry with me, if I had to choose between two of these, given what I shoot and what I would need to shoot and what I'm accustomed to shooting, I would probably choose the Pixel 7 Pro over the iPhone. For all the aforementioned reasons. Everyone's going to have different choices. I'm not here to validate your opinion. I'm just here to share you the shots that I took. I'll be doing basically a comparison between the Pixel 7 Pro and other cameras, including the Pixel 6 in coming days, so you can stay tuned for that. If there's any particular aspect of the camera comparison tests that I might be able to do that might be fair for both cameras, if they have the same feature or the same, capturing the same light from the same distance, etc., please let me know. I'd be curious. And until then, feel free to keep asking questions.